1, 2, 1, 2. What you gonna do? Gonna start this thing off right. I got the Hanks in the house tonight. Gonna start this thing off right. Who else in the house tonight? What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I know there's a delay between when I sign on and you guys actually know I'm here, so I'm going to talk to myself. See if I can't get these voices in my head to agree on something. So, where you at, where you at? I see one person up there. Holla at a black man, let me know you can hear what I say when I say what I say. When I said it, because I said it, and I meant it, because I said it. That shit was corny, huh? It's early, give it time. I still got time to mess up some stuff, man. Hey, it's been a fun week, people. It's been a fun week. You know? It's been an exasperating week as well. So. Where we at? Where we at, peoples? What y'all doing? What y'all doing? Oh, I'm getting hearts and carrying on. I love you too, girl. And I just want to say, hope you all don't mind. Cause I love you, love you, love you, love you. Whoa. And to me, you're kind of special. You see, you've been so good to me through the years. It's the old Teddy. Let me make sweet love to you, baby. So good, baby. That's saying, hold up. I ain't tuned in to have no Teddy concert. But you know, I just might turn off the lights and bust up a candle. I'm just feeling unnecessary. What's up, people? What's up? I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started just like this here. I see I got a couple people here. Oh, I got a nice show for y'all tonight. Not that one of my shows ain't all of that, but this show here, this show right here, N-word, please. All you got to do now. Whatever you do. I want everybody out there and bite your bottom lip and do that. That means I mean that shit. Oh, all right. What's up, people? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? What you doing? What you doing? It's what you doing? What you look like you doing? Now see the Bankhead Bottom Spots now when this song was out, but it sounds like it just feels like this song was made for We're doing on the moon, y'all. Oh. What about some prepping? Everybody on the floor. Whop it. Here we go. Two to the left. Y'all can't see it, but I'm doing the funky penguin. Y'all remember that, huh? Ow! Don't mean a thing if it ain't the thing you want. Oh, wind it up. This is how you get hype. This is how you get hype for the show, baby. No, do it. No, do it. Do it to 'em. Go on and do it. Y'all do it. I'm gonna do it. Cause I feel like doing it. And I'm gonna express myself. Hey. Skooga-dooga-doo-doo-doo-doo. Skooga-dooga-doo. Skooga-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Do it loud, loud. Alphabets and vowels now. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. Sometimes Y and W. I just had to let that play out. I had to let that play out. I had to let that play out. I had to play it out. Hey, what you talking about, Sandra? Your behind can't dance with your little freckle face self. Don't start me. What's up, Al? What's happening? I see a lot of people here that I ain't seen in a minute and what have you. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I'm going to go ahead and cut this short and get the show on the road. Before I do anything, I want to say rest in peace to both John Lewis and Herman Cain. Simply because you don't agree with somebody's politics don't mean that you shouldn't honor them, Mr. President. It's just the right thing to do. You know, it takes all types, different strokes for different folks. So with that being said, amen. Rest in peace. Good evening, people, and welcome to the show. When I started doing the show, I only had the podcast title, I Got Something to Say, So It Must Be True. Since then, my audience and I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot about people. I've learned a lot about friends, and I've learned a lot about family. I want to stay true to delivering the message that I feel I was given to say. Since 2017, when Trump took office in January of 2017, there were three things that I said. I said Biden was the person that would dethrone Trump. I said people didn't vote for Trump as much as they voted for Hillary. And I also said that we shouldn't just pick a female just because we think it's quote-unquote time for a woman. When Obama came along, we didn't say it was time for a black. He just kind of rose through the ranks, and through his message, he gained mass appeal. And he really changed the game. So I thought that's the way a woman should be picked. But with that being said, since we're so hell-bent on picking a woman tonight, I'm going to evaluate some of the women that are being considered. First, I'm going to give you my analysis, if not my opinion, why I think mail-in voting is a bad idea. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, people. When I look at the ills of mail-in voting, first of all, if you're sincerely sick and you can't make it to the poll, I think this is the only time you should mail in vote. Or if you're in the military and you're off on, some distant land and what have you. But in my humble opinion, if you're able to go to the polls, please, 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 like James Brown in 65, please, please, please go to the votes and go to the poll and cast your ballot. That way we'll know it'll be counted. I implore you, and here's why. In Georgia, we saw Stacey Abrams lose. In Florida, we saw Andrew Gillum lose. And both of those states have one thing in common. They are Republican or red states, and the supervisor, secretary of elections, is a Republican. So we keep getting into this thing where votes are constantly being disqualified or called fraud and not counted. As history has taught us, We can't go back and do a recount and expect its election to be overturned. It has never happened before that I know of. Not a presidential election. It's never happened before, and it certainly is not going to happen now. Let me say that one more time. It certainly is not going to happen now. Trump has taken his time to stack the federal judgeships with his little cronies, and every now and then they give us these little tidbits of humanity. But as far as overthrowing what we think is cheating, hint, hint, 2016, it's just not going to happen. So if you can make it to the polls, go to the polls and vote. And I'm going to go back to that. Trump is the master cheater. He's already given you a game plan of declaring cheating and voter fraud to disqualify a lot of these mail-in votes. In swing states where he stands to lose, we just cannot take a chance of leaving anything to chance. We can't take a chance on leaving anything to their humanity of playing fairly. It just ain't going to happen. I don't see it. I've not seen evidence of it in the last 4 years. I can't expect these folks or these people to suddenly have an onset of fairness and honesty. It's just not in their vocabulary or in their DNA. So with that, I'm going to say, let's not leave anything to chance and give them 4 more years to rip up the Constitution. 4 more years in this country will be a true authoritarian dictatorship. It's in Russia's best interest to keep Trump in the White House because he has weakened the USA as a whole, and specifically weakened our military in ways that the average civilian could not imagine. And being a former Marine, and I see that there are some people that support him in the military, but they're blinded by the light. And I'm just not going to go off on that tangent. But if you talk to career military minds, they'll tell you this is the weakest our military has ever been. You understand? The other thing we can't count on, I've been calling Nancy Pelosi out. I've been calling Chuck Schumer out. And I've been doing so because I feel like the Dems are inept. They do everything as a reactionary. They're playing checkers while the Republicans are opportunistically playing chess and thinking 12 steps ahead. And when something new comes up, they adapt, they improvise, and they create a new plan to overcome. The Dems are just too lackadaisical in how they're handling things. And I think a lot of that has to do with the leadership. If Nancy has a majority in the House of Representatives, why aren't they doing more? You understand? Why the only time we've seen Nancy during this pandemic that we can speak of, she's made some little cameos here and there. We saw on one knee once Black Lives Matter hit this mountaintop. We see her with kente cloth around the neck on one knee on the congressional floor in the rotunda. That's bullshit. Chuck said that he was going to do a couple things. He's supposed to be the minority leader in the Senate, and he's rattling his saber or his sword and shouting, but he's not doing anything, so I don't see anything. The impeachment was a joke. It was a joke. We knew nothing was going to happen, but then done nothing to successfully enforce the constitutional checks and balances afforded by the U.S. Constitution. Instead of putting Moscow, Mitch, and Don in check, things got worse. Every time we thought we'd hit a new low, they dug 6 feet and went deeper. Now we in this subterranean level where hate is at an all-time high. And for whatever reason, when I smile, people start talking to me. And the first words out of their mouth is, I'm a lifetime Republican, and I just can't stand all of the hate that is going on now. And I'm like, what am I? Am I supposed to be the token happy black person, you know? But I'll engage them because I engage anybody in conversation. And the first thing I tell anybody, the difference between black pride and white pride, I don't have to hate you to love myself. White nationalists, they hate anything that isn't white. Be it Mexican, be it Iranian, Jewish, or black, or whatever. If it's not Anglo, white, Saxon, they hate it. They call that white pride. I call it hate. Pure and unadulterated hate. So let me not go there. Instead of Nancy and Chuck doing something, we see them hunker down in what I call their pandemic fortresses. Instead of coming up with an alternative plan for sending our children back to school, or saying, look, we're not going to push these kids back to school until we open the congressional floors. Forget what the President of the United States says. As the majority in the House of Representatives, this is our proposal. If nobody else stands with us, this is what we're saying. Chuck said at the beginning, before the checks were sent out back in March, he said he was going to ensure that the stimulus checks were not used and not sent to the rich and the wealthy and to help out businesses that were associated with anybody in power, especially if they were in Congress otherwise. Since then, we've found out that that was a lie. It didn't take Maury to tell us that. Since then, we found out that people over 75,000 that were single, over 150,000 if they were married, did not receive any type of check. But those wealthy people received checks in the amounts of 1.5 to 1.7 million. So what did that do to the deficit? And then we hear all of this fussing back and forth. And before I say it, let me just offer you my disclaimer. If your behind received a $1,200 stimulus check and you got $600 a week, and you didn't pay your rent, you went out and bought a 65 or 70-inch TV, your punk ass, your monkey ass needs to be kicked out, because landlords have bills as well. So they can't just carry you indefinitely while you going out and you buying $800 worth of hair and all of this foolishness. You got to get your priorities in straight. But with that being said, the one thing that nobody is saying is, what did the rich and wealthy do with their 1.5 to 1.7 million? I'll wait. What did they do with their money? Crickets. You're absolutely right. So if we don't hold Nancy and Chuck's feet to the fire, what is their motivation to do more? They have none. So they are inept. I call Nancy a lame duck leader. She's not the speaker because she's not speaking out. When she does speak, it's a soundbite. It's not a plan with leadership to follow through and do something. It's not any coordinated plan between a minority in the Senate and the majority in the House to put Moscow Mitch and Delusional Donnie in check. So they're not doing enough. So I'm going to call, no pun intended, a spade. And you're going to see how that comes into the mix a little later. I touched a little bit on it, but I call this pandemic policies that fall short. Excuse excuse me. That's not corona. That's just a cough, okay? It's just a cough. Now we're seeing them talk about a second round of stimulus checks. As they do so, they're talking about two things. People that didn't get checks the first time around, that were eligible and for whatever reason didn't get it. And they're talking about people that got checks the first time around who will be ineligible this time around. But I don't hear any talk about those super wealthy with the 1.5 and 1.7 million. And I don't hear anyone giving us any indication. But I know that 45 was saying that he was not going to sign any package that did not include tax cuts. So my thing is, if Chuck and Nancy are going to do something, they should insist. They should absolutely insist that if people between 75,000 and 175 don't get anything, then those people that are uber rich shouldn't get a nickel. I have to calm down, people. I know I don't want to be screaming the whole time that I'm doing this podcast, but as you can see, this thing has been percolating inside me, and it's just come to a head. It's boiling over. The pot is boiling over. What's really pushed me to the brink of insanity is two things. We have the religious right who don't believe in abortion and preaching right to life and everything that has a heartbeat is a life and it deserves a chance to live. These same people are planning on sending our children to school knowing that you cannot tell a 7-year-old to keep their mask on. A 9-year-old just died here in Florida a few days ago. 2 days ago, a 27-year-old just died. To the best of my knowledge, neither one of them had diabetes or any of these things. So these pre-existing and conditions that they talk about and all of this propaganda, that's all it is talk. There's no way I would be sending a child of mine, and I've urged my children not to send my grandchildren to school until Congress opens. When you think it's safe enough for you to bring your behind back to the office and start greeting people, social distance, if you're sitting behind your desk and you have somebody 6 feet away and you feel comfortable with that, then I'll feel kind of comfortable sending 37-year-olds, 25, 12-year-olds to class, because the teacher is going to be the main one who's upset thinking about her own safety, his or her own safety, with 35 little petri dishes sitting out there, bringing her 35 different organisms every day. So you think there's going to be any focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic? I don't think so. So don't put our children in harm's way. Don't treat our children in any way that you're not willing to treat yourselves. Because I promise you, they have no skin in the game. They're not sending their kids and their grandkids to school yet. So this back to school, let's skip that. Since I've been doing this, I've received many calls. I've received many questions. I've received time and time again. You guys have honored me, and I'm truly humbled that you think I know enough to offer you any type of advice on what you should do or what's going to happen. The number one question that I get asked is, what do you think is going to happen with this pandemic? The second most asked question I get posed is, what happened if Joe Biden doesn't win? And the third is, what happened if Joe Biden does win? So, with this pandemic, without going off on a tangent, all of our bodies are host. I posted something last night. I talked about the gorillas in Africa. These people, since Jane Woodall, have been using the gorillas as gorillas are actually shy in the wild. As long as they don't feel threatened, they're actually shy. So they use them as a means of creating revenue through tourism. They offer kind of like sightseeing to see gorillas in their natural habitat. And what I saw on the Smithsonian, and it's called Gorillas of Gabon or something like that. I'll find out and I'll post it on. But when these people go into the jungle to view these gorillas, out of respect, they're sanitized. Now, to me, it didn't make sense. But they sanitize the soles of their shoes. They dip their soles in bleach water. They wash their hands, and they wear a mask. Because gorillas and chimpanzees share 98% of our DNA. So they are just as susceptible as we are. And they talked about over 25% of the gorilla population disappeared I know you guys didn't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. They disappeared as a result of Ebola. Ebola is just like, and actually it hit Africa harder than it hit here. Why? Because we reacted to it and we planned for it. So when they ask me about pandemic, I say this. Until we start mass testing and doing what's called antibody testing, that figures out why I've been exposed to the virus, but I didn't get sick. It figures out why I'm asymptomatic or why I caught the virus and it was not deadly to me. I got over it. What is it about my phagocytes or white blood cells in my body that fights off this virus? Until we do that, we're not going to get anywhere. The other thing that we have to do, and I'm not the virologist, admittedly so, but here's the thing that pisses me off. All of these so-called experts, nobody has come up with one test, just one test, which basically means everybody is being tested the same. There's no standardization. That's one test. If there were one test, that would be the standard. Everybody would be given this test, and everybody that had this test would have a baseline, and everybody over this number would be deemed positive, and everybody below this number would be deemed negative, and all of these people in between would be deemed asymptomatic, and we would find out why. We could start to answer those questions. I may be smart, but I'm sure I'm not the only person that's thought of this. If we had true leadership in there, and again, this is why I'm beating up Nancy and Chuck, because I'm sure somebody has brought this to them. And this is why I don't want to go off, but this is why I'm getting my own organization together, because we're going to address some of these problems. As to the second question, what happens if Biden wins and what happens if Trump wins? What frightens me, and I don't mind saying this, I'm scared. I am truly scared. What frightens me is Trump has been amassing his own militia, if you will. All of these people that are walking around with masks on and commandeering and arresting people and detaining people with no signature or no identification. I don't know if you're law enforcement. If you come up with no markings, if you don't have to show me a badge, if you don't have to show me credentials that you are who you say you are, then the action that you're committing is illegal. Again, Nancy and Chuck, why aren't we doing something about this? If Biden wins, it has to be substantial. It has to be almost a runaway. Otherwise, what's going to happen is Trump's going to say that somebody cheated. Yeah, those who cheat are always the ones talking about other people cheating. He's not going to want to vacate 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. What's going to happen then? All we could do, baby, is plan for the worst and pray for the best. This takes me to the other thing. How does Biden win? I've been saying since 2016, since January of 2017, that Biden was the person to dethrone Trump. I've also been saying two other things. We have to consider two things. First of all, a black female and white women. A black female and white women. All along, I've been saying that Biden was a one-term president of the United States. Joe is old. Joe doesn't have anything to prove, which makes him the perfect choice. I also said that the person that he picked should be the best person, not just a woman because it's time or a woman's turn. Pick the best person because this person is going to have a shoe-in to following Biden into the White House. Before I go to the white woman thing, let me talk about this mail-in voting thing again. It's a moot point. If we have a 60% majority of mail-in votes that are disqualified are called fraud, then it turns the election. And as I previously said, Trump has stacked the federal judgeships. He stacked the U.S. Supreme Court. So the chance of these votes being counted or there being a recount is slim to none. He's already trying to do something that's unheard of and unprecedented. There's no precedent for it. He wants to postpone until he feels like he can win. Can't happen. So again, if I have to go in a wheelchair on a respirator, I'm going into the poll and I'm going to make sure that my voice is heard, and I'm urging you to do the same. Okay, I talked about, since we are so hell-bent on picking a woman and we're hell-bent on it being a black woman, let me give you my pick. My pick is either Val Demings from Florida, because here's the reason. Val Demings doesn't have a background in Washington, so she doesn't owe as many people. I'm sure she owes some people, but she doesn't owe as many people as many favors as some of the career politicians. This is why we see their failure to act on certain things. My second choice would be Susan Rice, because during the Obama administration, I just like the way she carried herself. I like the way that she's an intellectual. She has a cool, calm demeanor, you understand? And I think she would compliment Joe. This election, I call it the Game of Thrones, okay? This election is about strategy. But instead of playing it like the Game of Thrones and thinking what if and having a contingency plan for whatever might come up, the Dems are the usual lackadaisical selves playing spades. They act like the poles of the Ten Commandments, and Moses brought down this thing from Mount Sinai saying that Joe Biden is the big joker. All along I say that Biden has the mass appeal to unite the Dems, the moderate Republicans, the independents, and those Republicans who are tired of 45 shenanigans and Mitch-thievery. I've said that the independents and those undecided who have seen Trump for what he truly is, they're tired. If that's true, if Trump is vulnerable and Biden is the big joker, you still have 12 other cards to be played. Two things have to happen. You have to make sure that your partner, anybody that plays spades, know if my partner is cutting me, that minimizes the number of books that we're going to get. So if you're trying to run a Boston, we've got to be of one same accord. We got to be on the same page. And I don't see that in the Democratic Party right now. I just don't. The other thing is, I said this. There are some wild cards. One is the white female. I said it time and time again. It's not that they voted for Trump. White women refuse to vote for Hillary. So Trump is where he is because of the white female. If they are so pissed that we are skipping them and want to promote, notice I said promote a black female or black woman, what do you think they are going to do? Why do you not think that they're going to silently do what they did in 2016 and either say fuck it and stay home or go to the poll and say, I'm pissed, I showed them, I will show them, and vote for the opposition, because the one thing they have to fall back on is white privilege. So these folks with their Black Lives Matter, these folks with it has to be a black female, I'll show them, boom. Now what? 4 more years of this lunacy. So that's one of the wild cards. The other wild card that we have to think about is called Russia, China, Korea. We have to plan a contingency for outside interference. We have to plan a contingency for mail-in votes not being counted. Those of us that were in the military, we used to doing mail-in votes, but all bets are off now. This is not old school. Now that we've shown our hand, they're ready. They are ready, and they've already told you that a lot of these votes will be counted, miscounted as being fraudulent. So let's think about that. The white women they silently killed Hillary's chance of ever becoming president because of who she is. Now, it's not that they didn't vote for Hillary. They just voted. Let me take that back. It's not that they didn't vote for Trump. They just voted against Hillary. Elizabeth Warren and Amy, they have this dry bread personality. If Warren couldn't win one of the 2 states that she called home, Oklahoma and Massachusetts, she brings nothing to the ticket. Again, she's going to turn off more people than she turned on. Let's not take that chance. Amy, we've seen some things about Amy, so no Amy. Kamala Harris, let me say this. Kamala has a sharp tongue that could tear a hole in the side of a battleship. But her record doesn't speak to Black Lives Matter. So I can see a lot of people being turned off by that. And then some of the things she said to Joe during the preliminaries of the primaries. So with that, I'm going to say this. Val Demings, Susan Rice. I said what I said, I meant what I said, and I said it. And that's the way it is. on July the 30th. Folks, let's remember our children. Let's just remember that they don't get a voice. So if we send them to school, they're going to think that everything is cool. You, as an adult, get tired of wearing a mask for 30 minutes. How do you think these kids are going to sit in class for 6 to 8 hours a day? How do you think they're going to go to recess and play ball and do all of these things, or they're not? But one thing they will not be doing is wearing masks. Let's not sacrifice our kids in the name of a lunatic who wants to look presidential. With that being said, I'm going to give everybody some pandemic homework. Since we're talking about school, here's your homework. Please, I implore you, go to my YouTube channel, sign up and hit subscribe. My leadership, my viewership should be more than quadruple by now. You know, the days of doing this on Facebook are coming to an end because every week I have some type of problem with this. So when you're saying something that truly somebody don't want you to say, I've kept myself independent and I've turned down sponsorship for the sole purpose of being able to say what I want to say when I feel like saying it and how I want to say it for that specific purpose. The only way that this keeps on going is if I take it to another level. So I have to make it happen. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to start going to other avenues. YouTube is going to be one of those. So with that, go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to post it after this. Sign up and hit subscribe. Other thing I want you to do, I want to share my podcast, especially tonight, with people that you care about. Though I'm very confident, my testimony is not about bragging. I truly believe my life is simple. God must have me here for a reason. Otherwise, I'd have been taken out a long time ago. I've been shot. I've been robbed. You name it, I've been through it. So to those of us that are still here, I believe it is what it is. I believe this is about this. As always, important, I want to thank you for your love. I want to thank you for your support. I want to tell you I'll see you here next week. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. If you're just coming in, again, go to my YouTube. Check this out. Check this out on YouTube because you're not going to get all the interference that you get Chinese dubbing Bruce Lee movies that you see on Facebook. Okay? Do that for me. I wish you love. I wish you peace. I wish you hair grease. I'm about to slide out of here. But before I do, remember what I say. Don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. Again, rest in peace, John Lewis, Herman Cain. Good night, folks. I'm out of here.